You voted, I listened. Okay, I didn't listen, I read it, so I paid attention. And today we'll be talking about a fragrance from the house of Alexandria that you people picked out to hear about. Pay attention, stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, people? I'm Joshua, and this is your channel, Scentsense. To all my loyal sensations and fellow scent provocateurs, welcome back. And to all you new people who are checking out the channel, maybe for the very first time, and you're not too sure if you want to stick around, we won't treat you like they do on the island of misfit toys. I'll be Rudolph, and I'll lead you to the promised land. Today we'll be talking about yet again another fragrance from the house of Alexandria. For those of you who don't know what Alexandria is a fragrance company that makes clones, interpretations, dupes, whatever people want to call it, of fragrances that are either hard to get, expensive, or just not what they used to be. To give you an example of that, they make fragrances that interpret or clone fragrances from places like MFK, Xerjoff, Parfums de Marly, and many, many more. They also make fragrances that clone fragrances from the house of Creed, which, as we all know, has gotten more and more and more watered down while the price continues to go up and up and up. They also make fragrances from the designer realm, female, male, and some of those designers that are discontinued and you can't get anymore, or those designers that just don't really have what they used to have, like La Nuit de L'Homme, because we all know everyone complains about that one. But enough of that, let's talk about what we came here for. Today we'll be talking about a fragrance that is a concoction of two fragrances. Imagine if you took Tom Ford's Tuscan leather, the sweetness, the leatheriness, the raspberry note, and you added into that some birch, a little bit of pineapple. You know where I'm going with this. Today we'll be talking about Alexandria's Tuscan King. Tuscan King is Alexandria Fragrance's interpretation of a dream combination of Creed Aventus and Tuscan leather. Being that this fragrance was made by Alexandria Fragrances, I would assume they used two fragrances that are from their line, which are interpretations of Tuscan leather and Aventus, and those fragrances are my favorite, which is Bitter Soft, and also Brasilia. So what you're gonna get from this? Leather, raspberry, pineapple, and birch. You're gonna get the smokiness of the birch, the smoothness of the leather, and the sweetness from the raspberry, and the brightness from the pineapple. To be honest, I'm very surprised that a fragrance brand out there who makes fragrances in the mainstream has not made a fragrance that has a combination of these notes. To me, it's quite alarming because when I first smelled this, I immediately thought, how did no one think of this? So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this sucker on my hand so I can get a reminder, a little refresher, if you will. So right out of the opening, you're gonna get that blast of leather. It's almost gonna be slightly overwhelming, which is okay, because as soon as you start to feel like, man, this is just straight leather, in creeps the raspberry and the sweetness. In creeps that birch that gives it a little smokiness, which is why the leather feels a little bit overbearing and a little dry. But as it's gonna continue to wear on the skin, that raspberry is gonna give it some sweetness, some almost creaminess, and then you're gonna get the brightness from the pineapple. The way that this fragrance transitions on the skin is quite remarkable because at first it smells like a business-only scent, and then after a while, it smells like this zesty, fruity, bright, fun, and inviting fragrance. As far as longevity, with this fragrance, you're gonna get great performance. You're gonna get 8 to 10 hours easily, and that's spraying just directly on the skin. I have no idea how much longer it would last on clothes because when I wore this fragrance, the clothes I was wearing, I didn't want to spray it. When it comes to projection, you're going to get what you get from Tuscan leather, and you're going to get what you get from Aventus, a fragrance that projects pretty well for the first 2 to 3 hours, but then starts to come in a little bit more and gets a little bit more of maybe a half arm length projection for the next hour or two. After about 6 hours, you're going to become more and more of an intimate scent, but to me, it kind of works perfectly in the avenue of how it projects and how it lasts. First, you get that person to notice you from across the room. Next, you get them to be close enough to you, maybe an arm length away where they can still smell you. And by the time they get close enough, it feels like they never lost any of that smell that you smell because now they're close enough to smell that close and intimate style fragrance. As far as sillage, this is definitely one of those fragrances that will tend to leave a room remembering you were there. This one will definitely leave a lasting impression, but at the same time, it's not overbearing or cloying, so you get a good balance. When it comes to overall quality of the fragrance, as in like how does it smell, is it close to the originals, is it something that will perform well, you all know I love Bitter Soft, but you all know I've said before that I think it's personally better for me than Tuscan Leather. It's a little bit sweeter, it's a little more inviting than Tuscan Leather. Tuscan Leather is a little more rough, but it's also a little more refined. So what you're gonna get from this, in my opinion, is a perfect match for Aventus because of the playfulness of Bitter Soft. Having said that, I think Brasilia is not a bad clone of Creed Aventus. I do think that Emperor Extrait is far superior, but for what it is, it's definitely a good one. So if I had to say how close this would be, as if you took Tuscan Leather and you took Aventus and you sprayed them together and then you sprayed these two together, how close it would be, I'm not gonna give you some number like 84.6%. Just know if you smell this, you're gonna recognize that that's what this was supposed to be. So in that case, it's pretty close. This comes in an extrait de parfum, so it is very, very concentrated. It's got a lot of fragrance oils in this. For people who don't understand what that means, you range everything from eau de cologne, which is a splash on, kind of like what you would see at Walmart, like a Old Spice or an English leather. And then what you have with this is all the way at the top of that tree, which is extrait de parfum, which is a lot more concentration of oils. The average fragrance that you're used to getting from a Dillard's or a JCPenney or whatever department store you go to is either eau de toilette or eau de parfum. Eau de parfum is the more expensive one usually. It's just because it's more concentrated. It should last longer, it should perform better, and it should be richer and just stronger. If that's the case, this is the King Bee. Extrait de parfum is above even that. As far as sizes, this is a 30 milliliter bottle, 1 ounce, and they also have a larger size, which is a 60 milliliter, which is 2 ounces. For the 2 ounce bottle, you're gonna pay $62.99, and for a 1 ounce bottle, you're going to pay $42.99. Some people may think that's quite pricey for a clone or interpretation, but if you take into consideration the price of Creed Aventus and the price of Tuscan Leather, both ranging somewhere between $300 and $500 depending on the size of the bottle, you're looking at something that would cost you $600 to create yourself, or more. So let's just be real. This is a good price. The more important question is, would I buy it? And I know that's a tricky question for me to answer because this bottle was sent to me for review by the kind folks at Alexandria Fragrances, which I've already mentioned in a previous video. Didn't want to have to re-mention that, but if you didn't see the video, it's up here. But alas, if I were to buy a fragrance from the house, this would be the very first one I would buy. I already own Bitter Soft. I have bought Bitter Soft. So that will tell you right there, as someone who reviews these fragrances, I am also a customer of these fragrances. And easily, without a doubt, this would be one that I would buy. But if you're still hesitant about buying it because you feel like maybe it's a little too rich for your blood, the kind folks at Alexandria Fragrances always hook me up with codes because I like to hook up my friends and family, people who watch my channel. The code that I'm about to give you is one of the best codes when it comes to this fragrance company. This fragrance code is only gonna be good for this fragrance though. So if you're interested in buying this one, you can get this one on the super low. The code is going to be SS20. On top of that, if you're interested in maybe possibly winning a bottle of this, you're gonna have to go over to the Alexandria Fragrances Facebook page. You're gonna have to join the Facebook fragrance group, and then pinned at the top will be a video comment about this video being launched, and you need to comment there that you're in and what's one fragrance that you may own from Alexandria Fragrances that you really enjoy, or a fragrance that you're really interested in trying. Once that's done, we'll be picking two lucky winners to receive a 30 milliliter bottle of this. But like I said, guys, if you don't win, don't be discouraged. You can go ahead and buy yourself a bottle of this. Buy it at the 30 milliliter size or the 60 milliliter size and get 20% off in the process. So guys, that about does it for me. Thank you so much to the fine folks at Alexandria Fragrances for sending this to me to let me talk about it and let you know about it. If you did watch that video where I listed the fragrances that I got from Alexandria Fragrances that I will be reviewing, let me know what's the next one you want to talk about. Let's get the comment section rolling. If there's not one that you want to hear about, go ahead and tell me what you think about this one if you've smelled it, and let me know what fragrance from Alexandria Fragrances you enjoy the best. As I mentioned before, why don't you go ahead and consider subscribing? If you don't want to join the crew, I completely understand, but you'll be missing out. But if you do join the crew, or you're already a part of the crew and you haven't already, go ahead and smash that notification bell. That way when my videos come out, you people will be the very first to know. And as always, and most importantly, Fragrance family, I'll smell you later. Peace!